The cameras were rolling, the lights were shining, and everyone assumed it would be another chaotic day on love and hip-hop. But what followed was far from ordinary, an explosion that had the entire production crew scrambling, cast members frozen, and fans in complete shock. Word on the street is that filming came to an abrupt halt after a confrontation spiraled out of control, one that blurred the line between reality TV and real life. Insiders claim that Mendeecees, usually the epitome of calm and control, snapped when his wife, Yandy, was dragged into the fire. The room froze as voices surged. Accusations flew like daggers, and security braced for what they thought was a full-scale brawl. Some say it was Sierra's relentless shade that finally ignited the chaos. Others argue that the producers, sensing the brewing storm, pushed the cast together, knowing tensions had been simmering for weeks. Whatever the truth, one thing became crystal clear. This was no scripted drama. This was raw, unfiltered chaos, so intense that it forced the crew to shout for the cameras to cut. What began as an ordinary scene had transformed into a real-life meltdown that no script could have anticipated. Fans are now left to question, how did things spiral so far? And what does this mean for the future of love and hip-hop? The drama had been building long before that explosive moment on camera, quietly simmering beneath the surface in whispers, subtle jabs, and private digs. Everyone could feel it coming, but no one, not even the producers who thrive on chaos, expected it to reach this level. The cast members knew sparks would fly, but the firestorm that erupted was beyond anything they had imagined. Mendeecees, the man often described as calm and calculated, had reached a breaking point that no one, not even his closest friends, had seen coming. Behind the scenes, he had been carrying the weight of defending his family's honor while battling growing rumors that seemed impossible to silence. Yandy, ever poised, kept up appearances, posting cheerful updates and inspirational quotes, masking the strain underneath. But those paying close attention noticed the cracks, the way her eyes lingered on her phone when a cryptic post went viral, or how her voice tightened when her name was mentioned in interviews. Sierra, on the other hand, had made a name for herself as a master of never backing down. And this time, she leaned into the whispers, dropping veiled comments on social media, suggesting that the perfect family image Yandy and Mendeecees portrayed wasn't as flawless as it seemed. Fans couldn't get enough of the subtle hints, dissecting every post, every emoji, and every sly jab. Before long, speculation turned into a viral frenzy. The tension reached a boiling point one fateful evening during a group dinner. What started as laughter and casual conversation quickly turned into a stifling silence when Sierra dropped a line about loyalty. Yandy tried to brush it off with a forced smile, but the damage was already done. Mendeecees sat still, his jaw clenched tight, his silence louder than any words. The next day, social media was ablaze once again. Sierra liked to post accusing a certain couple of faking their happiness. No names were mentioned, but everyone knew exactly who the post was aimed at. Yandy responded with a picture of her family and a heartfelt caption about love and loyalty. It should have ended there, but instead, it only added more fuel to the fire. Sources close to the show whispered that the producers, seeing the spike in engagement, leaned into the drama, deliberately scripting scenes that forced Yandy, Mendeecees, and Sierra into the same space. What they thought would be compelling television quickly became a dangerous gamble. When filming resumed, the air was thick with tension, and everyone knew that things were about to explode. The crew exchanged nervous glances as security was put on high alert. Sierra sauntered into the room with her usual smirk, scrolling through her phone, completely unfazed. Yandy walked in composed, but the tightness in her smile was impossible to ignore. And then there was Mendeecees, quiet, but his presence shifted the entire atmosphere. He wasn't scheduled to be the focal point of this conversation, but his protective energy made it impossible for him to fade into the background. The suggestion dropped like a bomb, sending shockwaves through the set. It planted seeds of doubt and curiosity in every mind, turning the atmosphere electric. Yandy's calm facade cracked as her voice trembled, her patience snapping. She shot back at Sierra, accusing her of chasing clout and tearing down families for a moment in the spotlight. The room tensed, the chaos escalating fast. Sierra rose to her feet, her voice booming with an air of defiance, claiming to hold receipts that would expose everything. The crew stiffened. Phones slid out from under tables, recording the spectacle, knowing it could explode into viral gold. Mendeecees stood, his towering presence filling the room, his command demanding attention. "Back down," he warned, his voice controlled but filled with raw fury. Sierra wasn't backing down. She threw more fuel on the fire, hinting at side conversations and hidden secrets, claiming Yandy had more skeletons in her closet than anyone knew. The producers hesitated, unsure if they should cut the feed or let this chaos unfold. What was intended to be scripted drama was quickly becoming something that no one could have predicted. Real confrontation, no holds barred. Yandy, trembling with rage, fired back, her voice cracking as she accused Sierra of jealousy and lies. The cast erupted, some screaming for calm while others leaned in, hungry to witness the next move. Security stood ready, hands hovering near their radios, but Mendeecees wasn't backing down. His finger pointed at Sierra, his voice thundered, accusing her of trying to destroy his family for attention. The weight of his words hung in the air, a stinging truth that silenced the room. Sierra's smirk never faltered. With an almost casual confidence, she delivered the line that would echo beyond that room. "If the truth breaks your family, maybe it wasn't as strong as you thought." In an instant, the room shattered. Yandy lunged forward, ready to confront Sierra, but was quickly restrained by a castmate. Security moved in closer to Mendeecees, but he pushed past them with a primal intensity, his fury directed squarely at Sierra. The atmosphere was pure chaos. Cast members screamed, crew members scrambled to maintain control, and the cameras captured every second, despite producers frantically shouting to cut. Drinks spilled as the dust slowly began to settle. The damage was undeniable. One Twitter user posted, held Mendeecees if VH1 let Mendeecees fake a DNA test. Her smirk still plastered on her face, as though she had somehow won a war that no one had prepared for. Yandy's voice finally broke through the cacophony of noise, trembling as she accused Sierra of trying to destroy her family. Sierra, unfazed, shot back. The truth always comes out, fanning the flames even higher. The cast exchanged horrified glances, some muttering that things had gone too far. Families shouldn't be dragged into the mess. The producers, unable to control the spiraling chaos, finally gave the command, "Cut the cameras." Lights dimmed, and the once carefully orchestrated scene collapsed into something completely unmanageable. As the crew scattered, whispers filled the air. Some insisted Sierra had crossed the line, while others said Mendeecees had gone too far. But one thing was certain. Love and hip-hop had witnessed a confrontation so raw, so real, that it altered the entire franchise. What had once been entertainment was now something far more dangerous, and no one knew how to reel it back. The world outside had already begun to buzz. Clips leaked online within minutes, fans dissecting every second, demanding answers. What had begun as a typical day of filming had turned into one of the most unforgettable meltdowns in reality television history. Backstage, the air was thick with tension. Producers huddled in tense circles, voices sharp, discussing whether the footage should ever see the light of day. Some argued that airing the scene would be a disastrous mistake, while others saw it as the kind of explosive drama that could catapult the show to even greater heights. Yandy, isolated in a corner, buried her face in her hands, tears slipping through her fingers as close friends tried to console her. Her phone buzzed relentlessly, messages pouring in from castmates, fans, and even her children, who had already seen the shaky clips leaking online. The leak spread like wildfire. Captions read, "Love and hip-hop shut down after heated fight," flooding timelines with thousands of comments. Sierra, ever the opportunist, thrived in the chaos. Her makeup smudged from the shouting match. She pulled out her phone and went live on Instagram, completely unfazed. "I didn't even say half of what I know," she smirked into the camera, sarcasm dripping from every word. "If they want to come for me again, trust me, I've got receipts." Within seconds, thousands of viewers flooded her live feed, some cheering her on, while others blasted her for dragging families through the mud. The comment section became a battleground of fire emojis, accusations, and demands for proof. Meanwhile, Mendeecees paced outside, his chest heaving, the fury in his eyes still burning. Security hovered near him, but they gave him space, afraid of the fire still raging inside him. Friends tried to calm him, but he muttered over and over, "She's dragging my wife's name through the mud. I won't let her do that." Yandy eventually stepped outside, her cheeks wet with tears, her voice trembling as she begged him to stop. "Every time you fight back, it makes me look guilty," she whispered, clutching his arm. For a brief moment, his face softened, but the storm never fully left his eyes. He felt cornered, baited into losing control, and convinced that Sierra had set him up. The rest of the cast was divided. Rashida whispered to a crew member that she had never seen things go this far, not in all her years on the show. Another castmate murmured that if this footage ever made it to air, someone's career would be over. But despite the fear, the buzz was undeniable. Fans online replayed every second of the leaked clip, dissecting Mendeecees' rise, Yandy's crack in composure, and Sierra's smirk. Podcasts rushed to upload emergency episodes, bloggers framed headlines screaming chaos, and reaction channels broke down the body language, frame by frame. By the next morning, the scandal had spun completely out of control. Gossip sites published articles with titles like "Production halts amid explosive fight" and "Sierra claims Yandy is hiding secrets." Fan pages flooded timelines with memes, some praising Sierra's fearless stance, while others mocked her for clout chasing. Hashtags like #TeamYandy, #TeamSierra, and #ProtectMendez trended side by side, pulling the audience deeper into the spectacle. Public opinion was divided, half for Yandy, half for Sierra, with Mendeecees caught in the middle. The drama was far from over. The room was thick with tension, the silence almost suffocating as the showrunner slammed his fist down on the table. "We have two choices," he said sharply. "Bury this and take the heat for protecting Yandy, or air it and risk the network dropping us." Legal advisors were on edge, warning of potential lawsuits, while marketing teams argued that the buzz surrounding the incident was too valuable to ignore. No one wanted to make the final call, but everyone knew one thing for certain: the genie was already out of the bottle. The clips were online, the story was spreading like wildfire, and silence would only fuel the flames further. The fallout was escalating, reaching far beyond the show itself. Brands tied to both Yandy and Mendeecees began nervously contacting their managers, warning that if the rumors didn't die down soon, they might be forced to reconsider their partnerships. Yandy, already shaken, feared that years of carefully crafted image building could unravel in an instant. Her brand was built on strength, composure, and business savvy. Now the whispers threatened to undo it all. Mendeecees, typically quiet in public, fought his own internal battle. Behind closed doors, friends revealed he felt trapped, convinced that no matter what he said or did, it would be twisted against him. Sierra, however, reveled in the chaos. Her followers surged, the emotional toll weighed heavily on Yandy. Insiders whispered that her children were being dragged into the mess, with trolls tagging them in cruel comments. That was the final straw, Yandy reportedly told a friend, her voice breaking. "It's one thing to come for me, but don't you dare involve my children." Her protective instincts kicked into overdrive. The more personal the attacks became, the less willing she was to play along with the producers' games. Even as fans consumed the drama like wildfire, some began questioning whether the show itself had crossed a line. Was it still entertainment, or had it become pure exploitation? Had the producers gone too far by pushing feuds that blurred into real-life damage? The leaked footage didn't feel like a scripted spectacle. It felt raw and uncontrolled, and that made it both irresistible and dangerous. As the storm swirled, rumors of a spin-off began circulating. One blogger claimed producers were considering a new series centered on Sierra and her supposed truth-telling. The idea sparked a firestorm of reactions. Some fans argued it would reward toxic behavior, while others declared it would be must-watch television. Whether true or not, the rumor added another layer of intrigue to an already volatile situation. Through it all, one question loomed in the air. Who is telling the truth? Was Sierra exaggerating for clout, or did she really possess evidence that could shatter Yandy's carefully crafted image? Was Mendes simply protecting his family, or was he hiding something darker? The silence from producers only added fuel to the fire, allowing speculation to run wild and unchecked. The confrontation had done more than just halt filming. It had shaken the very foundation of the franchise itself, leaving fans wondering
DNA
if love
doesn't lie
and hip-hop
except
could ever recover
maybe it
from
does
this
lie.
kind of storm.
If someone
As the days
manipulates it.
passed, the chaos only grew. Instead of cooling down, it spread like wildfire across blogs, podcasts, and social media timelines. Every corner of the internet seemed to be consumed by the drama. Fans were replaying the leaked clips over and over again, debating who was right, who was wrong, and what the fallout truly meant. Producers tried to control the narrative, but every attempt to silence the noise only seemed to amplify it. Sierra's live sessions kept the speculation alive. Each time she went online, she teased her followers with more cryptic hints. Sometimes she flashed a folder on her phone, hinting that she had screenshots. Other times, she'd laugh slyly before saying, "Maybe the world isn't ready for the truth yet." Fans flooded her comments, begging her to spill everything. The pressure mounted, and the divide grew. Half of the audience demanded receipts, while the other half accused her of fabricating lies for attention. The polarizing effect only cemented her place at the center of the storm, keeping her name plastered across every headline. Yandy, meanwhile, took the opposite approach. She doubled down on her brand of professionalism, posting polished family photos, inspirational quotes, and clips of her business ventures. But the tone of her posts was shifting. Her captions grew longer, sharper, more defensive, almost as if she were speaking directly to her critics without naming them. Fans quickly noticed the change and pointed it out in the comments. "Stay strong, Queen," some wrote. Others questioned why she felt the need to defend herself if she truly had nothing to hide. Every post became part of a public trial, with strangers acting as judge and jury. Mendeecees, on the other hand, chose silence. After his explosive outburst was caught on tape and leaked, he retreated from social media entirely, leaving fans to fill the void with their own theories. Some believed his silence was an expression of regret over his outburst, while others saw it as a strategic move, a way to protect his wife without adding more fuel to the fire. But silence, in a world that thrives on noise, often creates more questions than answers. Why wasn't he defending himself? Was he muzzled by producers or legal teams, or was he simply letting his actions speak louder than words? Within the cast, alliances began to fracture. Some stood firmly behind Yandy, convinced that Sierra had crossed a line by dragging families into the drama. Others whispered privately that Sierra was just saying what many had been thinking, but were too afraid to voice. Off-camera conversations grew heated, with castmates accusing one another of playing both sides, feeding stories to blogs for clicks, pretending to be neutral while secretly stirring the pot. What had once been a tight-knit group was now splintered, divided by suspicion and mistrust. This drama is far from over, and we want to hear from you. Do you think Sierra really has the receipts, or is she just after the spotlight? Was Mendes right to defend his wife, or did he fall right into Sierra's trap? And what about Yandy? Has this scandal cracked her image, or is she still the queen she's always portrayed? Drop your thoughts below because your opinion matters. Don't just watch the drama, be a part of it. Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a twist. Stay locked in